Welcome to Muscles and Magic the Gathering. Now I'm Bobby Maximus. Let me introduce myself. I am the Muscles. These cards, they need no introduction. Magic the Gathering, something that's been a huge passion of mine for 31 years. I started way back when in 1994. Unlimited was my first set. I'm a true bona fide OG Magic the Gathering player. And recently, my goal, my passion has been directed with one singular purpose. And that's to build 100 commander decks, all right? I currently stand at 57 at the time of filming. Hopefully by the time you watch this video, we'll be at 58 or 59. The grind is relentless. But all that aside, you are here for two reasons today. One, because you love graveyard antics. You're the type of degenerate Magic the Gathering player that loves abusing other players using what I call your second hand. And two, and by the way, don't take the term degenerate personally. I am that guy. I am him. He is me. I love a good graveyard deck. But you're also here because you want to learn how to build a better Muldrotha deck. This is one of my 57 commander decks. And in all these decks, I want to feature all kinds of different things. I want zombies. I want vampires. I want elves. I want Eldrazi's. I want 1/1 counters. I want energy. This is my ode to a graveyard deck. And I think it is a perfect graveyard deck. This one is stellar and features all of those graveyard cards that you've come to know and love. And maybe by watching the video, you'll learn about some you haven't seen yet. So we're going to start off, as always, talking about our commander. And I have this beautiful Foundations printing of this. I love to use beautiful art cards in my commander decks. Commander decks for me are a way to display my collection. It's not just about playing. I want to make that clear. It's about collecting. I'll talk a little bit more about that later with my card choice and some things like that. But keep that in mind. Now, Muldrotha itself, and by the way, on my side computer here, I've got my Mox Field pulled up. I will put a link in the show notes to this deck if you want to see it. But Muldrotha, it's a 6/6, all right? It costs 6 mana to bring out 3 colorless, a black, a green, and a blue. And during each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. This is one of the commanders that's honestly, it's really powerful and it's really easy to build around because there's no tricks. It's straightforward. It just does its thing. If you have a way to get things to your graveyard, this commander is powerful. It will do its thing. And it's a really, really fun build. We got a couple of Planeswalkers, and I'm a big fan of Planeswalkers. Sometimes when people build competitive decks, they don't want to put Planeswalkers in. Sometimes it's too high of a casting cost. Sometimes they're not worth the casting cost, so they're not quite powerful enough. But I absolutely love Planeswalkers, and I make use of them at all times. All right, Liliana Death's Majesty. +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. There we go. We'll try to get stuff into that graveyard so we can take advantage of Muldrotha. -3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. And I want to talk about that for a minute. We can't just rely on Muldrotha because people are going to try to kill it, right? So I got to have other cards in here that allow me to get stuff from my graveyard. And then the final ability, destroy all non-zombie creatures. One of the most powerful Planeswalkers of all time, Narset Parter Avails. If you're building a blue deck, you need a Narset in. People hate this card, but it just works really, really good. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. That's the big thing with this card. That's all I'm going to talk about. You put that in your deck for this. Oko, Thief of Crowns. If Narset is the most powerful Planeswalker ever, Oko's probably 1B, right? It might be 1A in some people's books, but the +2 ability, create a food token. The +1 ability, this is one to pay attention to. Target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes a green elk creature with base power, toughness 3/3. Do that to somebody's commander. Trust me. And the final ability, exchange control a target artifact or creature you control with target creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less. Tevish Stat, Doom of Fools. Create 2/0/1 black Thrall creature tokens. That's +2 ability. +1. You may sacrifice another creature or Planeswalker. Note, sacrifice. It's a way to get stuff to your graveyard. If you do, draw 2 cards and draw another card. If the sacrifice permanent was a commander. And then the final ability, gain control of all commanders. Put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control. An absolute game ender. And Realm and Rainbreaker, you know this had to be included. Lands you control have add 1 mana of any color, plus 1 ability. Up to 1 target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with vigilance, hexproof, and haste until the next turn. It's still a land. The -2 ability, mill 3 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the milled cards into your hand. So again, way to get stuff into the graveyard. The final ability, you get an emblem. This is a big one. You may play lands and cast permanent spells from your graveyard. So if something happens to Muldrotha, you are set. Now it's time to talk about creatures. And what creature are we going to talk about first? Our secret commander. I love the idea of a secret commander. I love when at Final Fantasy, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I actually saw a Final Fantasy box here, and it surreptitiously entered my mind. I got to open this up, by the way. But I love when Magic the Gathering, in their pre-cards, I love when they have like a base commander, then they have a secret commander. So I always try to do that with my commander decks. And this card right here, you could swap this out with Muldrotha, and it would still be a great commander. So if you came here because you wanted to build the Taval, the balanced scale deck, you're still in the right place. Flying. Whenever Taval attacks, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. So again, the secret commander. Spore Frog. Sacrifice Spore Frog. Prevent all combat damage it would be dealt this turn. I've got a bunch of these sacrifice creature type cards in here because I can constantly fish them back from the graveyard and I can completely abuse their abilities. The Gravebreaker Lamia. Lifelink, and when Gravebreaker Lamia enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. So you're building a graveyard recursion type deck. This is massive. Sakura Tribe Elder. Sacrifice Sakura Tribe Elder. Search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. You can abuse this all kinds of ways in this deck. Haywire Might. When Haywire Might dies, you gain 2 life. Sacrifice Haywire Might. Exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. So again, a way to abuse this graveyard feature. Eternal Witness. When Eternal Witness enters the battlefield, you may return target card from the graveyard to your hand. We have a Plague Crafter. When Plague Crafter enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. The Baleful Strix, you have black and blue in your deck. This is a super good card. Flying, Death Touch. When Baleful Strix enters the battlefield, draw a card. The World Shaper. Whenever World Shaper attacks, you may mill 3 cards. When World Shaper dies, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Tapped. Look at this card. Doc Orlock, Grizzled Genius. Not a lot of people know about this one. Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Spells you cast from your graveyard or exile cost 2 less to cast. So we've got some cost reducers in our battlefield that help with our graveyard. And I've got a lot of these in this deck, so pay attention. Plotting cards from your land costs 2 less. Look at this art poster version of Mazarek Crawl, Death Priest. Legendary creature, insect, shaman, flying. Whenever a player, I was going to say flying, I got to slow down and get ahead of myself. I get really excited about these cards. But whenever a player sacrifices another permanent, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Remember this guy? Graveyard Central, Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in all graveyards, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. Yurga, Eater of All from Beanborough. Love the Beanborough set. Ward, sacrifice the food. Other creatures or food artifacts in addition to their other types. And have 2, sacrifice is permanent. You gain 3 life. So a way to sacrifice a bunch of stuff. And whenever a food is put into a graveyard for the battlefield, put 2 1/1 counters on Yurga, Eater of All. Going to pump this up massive in this deck. Endurance. Flash, Reach. When Endurance enters the battlefield, up to 1 target player puts all the cards from their graveyard onto the bottom of their library in a random order. Evoke, exile a green card from your hand. Absolutely love this card. Useful to get stuff back from my graveyard, if you will, if I need it, to get it back on the bottom of my deck. White of the Reliquary. Vigilance, White of the Reliquary gets a +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. And then you can sacrifice another creature. Search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle again. That sacrifice feature. Notion Thief. All right. And here's what I was looking up on my computer. I wanted to see how many game changers we have in this deck, and we actually have 8. So this deck is stacked, and we also have 7 tutors. More on that later. But the Notion Thief, an absolute monster of a card. And it's funny, it's only worth 86 cents. It's just because it's been printed a lot, but you have a black and blue deck, you got to put this in it. If an opponent would draw a card, except the first one they draw in each of the draw steps, instead that player skips that draw and you draw a card. Look at this. Some people's favorite commander, the Get Rog Monster. Death Touch at the beginning of your upkeep. Sacrifice the Get Rog Monster unless you sacrifice a land. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever one or more land cards are put into the graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. You can abuse this card in this deck. Sir Conrad the Grim. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is going to come in really, really handy. Pay a couple mana, each player puts a top card of their library into their graveyard. Ooh, look at this. The My Neoplasm by way of Slimer, Voracious Apparition. The Slimer enters, you may exile 2 creature cards from graveyards. If you do, he enters as a copy of one of those cards with the number of additional 1/1 counters on them equal to the power of the other card. Canker Balloon. Sacrifice it and then choose one. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Proliferate. You can abuse this in this deck to wipe the board of all the enchantments of all the artifacts. And listen, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to me too. You don't play enough removal in your decks. I don't either. I build to collect. I don't just build to be competitive. But if I was really, really serious about competing, I mean, I don't know, 10, 12 pieces of removal, because you can bring this back again and again and again. It's going to really help bump that removal quota in your deck up. One of my favorite cards, a card not a lot of people play with, the Ravenous Chupacabra. When Ravenous Chupacabra enters, destroy target creature an opponent controls. Again, we're going to keep getting this back from my graveyard so I can wipe the board of other people's creatures. Reclamation Sage. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. Again, there's so much removal in this deck. It's actually one of my favorite decks of all time for that reason, because oftentimes I don't do a good enough job with the removal. Tachova, Benthic Druid. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Can completely abuse that. I have a special place in my heart for the Grim Flayer. This is the double Masters printing of it, but when this card came out, I immediately fell in love with it. Trample, and whenever Grim Flayer deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, key, and the rest back on top of your library in any order. And it's Delirium. It gets 2/2. As long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Psychic Frog, one of the better cards from Modern Horizons 3. And that's saying a lot because that deck is stacked. Not that deck, that set is stacked. Whenever Psychic Frog deals combat damage to a player or a Planeswalker, draw a card. Discard a card, put a 1/1 counter on Psychic Frog. Exile 3 cards from your graveyard. Psychic Frog gains flying until the end of turn. And then this guy, talking about abuse of a card, a Cursed Marauder. When a Cursed Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. You better believe I'm going to use that. There are creatures. Let's talk about instants. And you know this instant had to be here. Gifts Ungiven. Great, great card, all right? It is a game changer. At one time, it was banned, super powerful. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. Then shuffle. Amazing card. I want you to read this again so this sets in. Search your library for up to 4 different cards with different names are revealed, and target opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Put the chosen cards in your graveyard and the rest into your hand. Really, really good for a graveyard deck. Really, really good for table politics, all right? Crop Rotation. Time you play Crop Rotation, sacrifice a land. Search your library for a land card and put that land into play. Shuffle your library afterwards. Another game changer and great card. Underutilized, in my opinion. Maybe the greatest land tutor ever. Toxic Deluge, incredible board wipe. Love this card. We have a Vampiric Tutor, and we also have a Demonic Tutor. These are both two of the best tutors in Magic. Now, I am missing one tutor from this deck. Which one is it? I've talked to you about this before. The Holy Trinity of tutors. We have the Demonic, we have the Vampiric, and we have the Imperial Seal. I just don't have enough Imperial Seals. I can actually look it up on my mock still. I don't know how many I have, 5, 6, 7, but I don't have enough. And that creates interesting problems for building decks. Truthfully, I would put all those 3 cards in any black deck I would ever build, but I don't have the cards. And that's one of the keys to this channel, right? I only use real cards. If I was using graphics on the screen, I just pump you full of optimized stuff. These are decks I have to build myself with the cards I have, and sometimes I don't have enough, so I got to do the best I can. So if you ever watch this video, you're like, hey, why doesn't he have this? Well, that's why I just have an extra copy of the card. But moving on, a card I do have a few copies of because I'm an old school player and absolutely love it. Intuition. Search your library for any 3 cards and reveal them to a target opponent. He or she chooses 1, put that card into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. Shuffle your library afterwards. Intuition and Gifts Ungiven go huge in this deck because you're going to win either way. You know, if you use these in a normal deck, maybe you lose stuff to the graveyard, but the graveyard today is just our second hand, so these work really well. Speaking of ways to get stuff into the graveyard, we have an Entomb, acts as another tutor. We have a Buried Alive, acts as another tutor. We have a Reanimate, might as well get stuff back from our graveyard or your graveyard if I see fit. And then we have this Deadpool, riding a unicorn, Deadly Rollick. You're building a black deck. Deadly Rollick absolutely needs to be in there. Let's talk about enchantments. We actually have a new enchantment. Taval's Judgment. Well, it is newer. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Draw a card, create a treasure token, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. We're probably going to be doing all of those every single turn. This one, I bet you've never seen this card, Seal of Primordium. Sacrifice Seal of Primordium, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Again, we're going to get a lot of artifact and enchantment destruction, which is huge. When I talk about removal, you got to get rid of people's artifacts and their enchantments, all right? Keys to Commander. Secrets of the Dead. This is an awesome card. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, draw a card. Mystic Remora. Poor man's Ristic Study, and in some ways it works better because no one's ever going to pay the floor. We have 1 banned card in this deck, and I do play with banned cards. Too bad, so sad. Recurring Nightmare. Sacrifice a creature. Return Recurring Nightmare to its owner's hand. Put target creature card from your graveyard into play. Play this ability only as a sorcery. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bobby Maximus, I don't like the ban list. Too bad for you. The ban list is hypocritical. It's nonsense. It targets a certain demographic in the Magic the Gathering community. It's prejudice. It's hate-fueled. I don't like it. All right? Here's the deal. The banned list, in my opinion, wants to punish people for having good cards. But what's wrong with good cards? Right? If Magic the Gathering releases a set, say they release Final Fantasy, and there's no good cards in this set, all people do is complain. If the cards are too good, people complain and they want them banned. People don't like that a mana crypt costs $70, $80, like whatever it is, so they want it banned because they don't have one. That's where I talk with the hate-fueled people, the prejudiced, right? If you have some good cards, people don't want you to play with them. Yet they're totally okay with you playing with a Soul Ring, and that's what my whole argument is based off of. It's totally okay to use a Soul Ring, but not okay to use a mana crypt. A Soul Ring is a better card than a mana crypt. That is a fact. Book it here. I will die on that hill. But why should a mana crypt be banned? Because you don't want to be playing with one because it's expensive. You don't want to spend your money on it, or you can't afford one, and you don't have one, so now you're mad, but you'll gladly use a Soul Ring. Think about these people that scream that Recurring Nightmare should be banned, but they will play with a Ristic Study or a Smothering Tithe. I could make the argument that a Ristic Study is a better card than a Recurring Nightmare. That if I had a Ristic Study, I would have put it in this deck instead of the Recurring Nightmare. Just saying. What about these degenerates that I actually love it? Because I'm one of them that plays with BB and Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Your Magic's never going to ban BB. It's like one of the face cards of the Final Fantasy set, all right? So they are going to ban it because of finance, but they'll go ban these other things. Like, I'm just tired of the hypocrisy, tired of the nonsense, and I play ban cards. So sorry for that little TED talk that I inserted into your graveyard video. Let's get back to business. Animate Dead. Enchant creature card in graveyard. When Animate Dead enters the battlefield, if it's on the battlefield, it loses enchant creature card in the graveyard and gains enchant creature put onto the battlefield to Animate Dead. Return enchanted creature card to the battlefield under your control and attach Animate Dead to it. When Animate Dead leaves the battlefield, that creature's controller sacrifices it. Enchanted creature gets -1/-0. Pernicious Deed. Sacrifice Pernicious Deed. Destroy each artifact, creature, and mana value or enchantment with mana value X or less. Kaya's Ghost form from War of the Spark. Enchant creature or planeswalker you control. When enchanted permanent dies or it's put into the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield under your control and Grave Pact. Whenever a creature, oh boy, we could abuse this. Whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. Love it. Let's see what we got for artifacts. We do need some commander protection. I probably actually don't have enough in here because Muldrotha, I feel, is one of those kill-on-site commanders, but the Lightning Greaves, great piece of commander protection. We have the Swiftfoot Boots. I'm shuffling through these cards to see what else we have. Another great piece of commander protection. I wish I had a Mithril Coat, but I didn't have any. Now let's talk Mana Ramp. We have an Arcane Signet, great Mana Ramp card. We have a Lotus Petal, great Mana Ramp card. The greatest Mana Ramp card of Soul Ring. And the sole reason, you see what I did there? The Soul Ring, sole reason that the Mana Crypt should be legal because the Soul Ring is better. Again, you're just trying to punish me because I have expensive cards. And I am tired of it. We all have expensive cards. And we all want to play with them, but there's a group of people that cry and whine and hate on other people. It's the same person that complains, and I'm going right down that TED Talk again, so pay attention. But it's that same person, and I've been at a table with this person that will complain about the price of a $5 card and order $50 DoorDash meals. Get out of here. Free Mana Crypt, free Hull Breacher, free Dockside Extortionist, free Prime Time. Let's go. All right, what else do we have? Phyrexian Altar. Let's sacrifice some creatures. And then what I call the poor man's Phyrexian Altar, the Ashnod's Altar, sacrifice some creatures. We have a Bolas's Citadel, Game Changer, great card. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. If you play the top card of your library, if you cast, you may play the top card of your library, sorry. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. And sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. Sensei's Divining Top, great card for card draw and card advantage. I absolutely love it. The only thing I'm missing in this deck is the Aetherflux Reservoir. Look that up. Aetherflux Reservoir, Sensei's Divining Top, Bolas's Citadel. There's your homework for extra credit. Navinral's Disc, old school Magic the Gathering. Love this card. Comes into play tapped. Destroy all creatures, enchantments, and artifacts, including Navinral's Disc instead. A good board wipe in this deck is essential because if you have this out, you are winning in the Ultra of Dementia. Sacrifice a creature. Target player mills cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Good for me in all cases, bad for you in all cases. Let's talk about lands. I have a bunch of basics in here, all right? Some of the follow-up ones. I want to show you some of the highlights because I like using fancy lands. I got to have one. I knew it. One of my favorite lands of all time. Some more of my favorite lands of all time. Love these Dominaria ones. So those are my basic lands. The land count in this deck is 37. Not quite as many as I probably should have. Trust me, you need more lands in your commander deck. Now let's look at the non-basics. I don't have a lot of them. Temple of Deceit. This land enters tapped. When this land enters, scry 1. We have the Lush Oasis. Lush Oasis enters the battlefield tapped. When Lush Oasis enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. You can add a blue or a green. Zagoth Trio. Zagoth Trio enters the battlefield tapped, one of those tri-lands. And then we have the Blooming Marsh. And by the way, I might have some extra cards to add to this deck because I just found a bunch of extra of these pain lands, and they are really, really good. So let's see if I can add some pain lands to this deck. Ooh, I have a Yavimaya Coast, and that's got to go in there. I have a Landwar Waste, and that's got to go in there. We have a Bark Channel Pathway. That's got to go in there. We have a Morphic Pool. I feel like that's got to be in there. Shivan Reef will not work. Riverglide Pathway will not work. And the Underground River. Cards to add. Here's the deal. Why didn't I add these initially? And here's why I'm doing this. Because I just want to talk to you about my decks. Because I just didn't have them. Again, this is the most real Magic the Gathering video series on the internet. Because I only use real cards. Like in any world, if I had a tricolor deck, the Underground River, I think they're some of the best and most powerful lands ever created, would have a place. And I would never use something like the Temple of Deceit. Like, it just wouldn't. It's not a great land. We're going to take the Temple of Deceit out, and I am going to put in my Underground River. But I didn't have an Underground River. And if I get the whole graphics on the screen thing, I would have included it. So that's just a little look into this deck. If you ever wonder, why didn't Bobby use the Underground River? It's because I didn't have one, and I just got one, and I just updated it live. So there we go. What's the version of that card? We get LTC. All right. So that's what I am going to do. There'll be a little surprise for you waiting in the deck list. When you go check the deck list, these cards will be added. We'll have a Morphic Pool. We'll have a Bark Channel Pathway. We'll have a Llanowar Wastes, and we will have a Yavimaya Coast. So there we go. There is my Muldrotha deck. Now, you don't want to leave yet. Some metadata for you. Bracket 4, 8 Game Changers, 7 Tutor cards. It's $908.98, so the value is going to change when I add these cards. And one of the most important things, the total mana value of this deck is an absolutely stellar 173. That is low. That is really, really low. If you have a deck under 200, it is going to move faster, right? If it's over 200, it's going to move slower. And in today's game, you got to be winning like turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. Turn 7, turn 8 is the late game. When you look at some of these just bonkers CEDH decks, they're closing out games turn 2, turn 3. And their mana value is like 143, 150, like things like that. So I'm always looking at ways to get the mana value of my deck lower. Now, what's another way I can get the mana value of my deck lower? Maybe something like a Deadly Dispute. I don't have a Deadly Dispute in here, but it allows me to sacrifice a creature or whatever. I actually probably do need a Dispute in here. So let's actually do something. And I know it's a great card. I know it's a game changer, but it doesn't mean it's the end-all, be-all of cards. I'll show you how this works. Real time. Just a bonus deck tech lesson for you. So we have the Bolas's Citadel, which is a decent card. It's a game changer. But in this deck, I can't make use of it like I would like to. All right? So it's a casting cost of 6. I'm actually going to get rid of it. We're going to move it. So the mana value was 173. And we're going to put a Deadly Dispute. Great card in this deck, especially because I can abuse it with Muldrotha. In this deck, a Deadly Dispute might actually be better. I want you to get out of your head that the game changers are always better cards. I used to do that. They aren't all the time. I actually think in this card, this one does work better, or in this case, this does work better. So now the mana value of my deck is now 169 instead of 173. It's going to move that much faster. And maybe it won't make a difference for one card, but one of the things I like to do when I'm upgrading my decks is I like to look through all the cards and try to get the mana value down even more. Another one that could potentially get cut here would be maybe something like a Liliana's Death Majesty. Maybe there's a better way to use a card. Maybe the Slammer card I showed you, the Mymioplasm, maybe that. I mean, if I could take 5 of the mana value away from Slimer, 5 from Liliana's Death Majesty, and 5 from Sir Conrad the Grim, that would be 15. That would drop me into the 150s. Put a couple of pieces of power back here that are 1-drops or 2-drops, and we have something really, really special, because now if we have the total mana value of this deck in the, I mean, this could be a candidate for a card here. Great card. This island probably needs to go in there. But if we could get these down, wow, what an incredible way to play the game. Tireless Provisioner might do really good in this deck. So that's how I'm looking at doing it. Looking at taking it, those big casting cost cards. Oh, wow. I cannot believe we didn't have one of these in here. Man, I got to tell you, I might have to rework this entire deck. We got this Swamp. Wow. The Sylvan Safekeeper. Yeah, this deck, the Zurin Orb. Man, we might have to make some major changes, so stay tuned for that. We will see the island. If I can contain myself, I could probably just turn this into a whole deck tech video right now. I'm not going to, but make sure you check the deck list to see the changes I make, because this might be one of my most changed decks going forward. We will see what we have. Actually, why not make some changes live? Who wants to do this? Genuinely, I think I do. So let's see how we can change one of the things in this deck, and I'll see if I can get the mana value down even more. All right, so the Zurin Orb. This is abusable in this deck because we can sacrifice a land and we can play lands using Muldrotha. So what are we going to take out? And what were the ones that I talked about? I talked about Liliana's Death Majesty. I talked about Sir Conrad the Grim. Useful card, but a massive casting cost. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get rid of cards with a higher casting cost that aren't as good and replace them with lower casting cost stuff. So the original deck, we had 173 for the casting cost. Let's see how low we're going to get it. We're going to take out Sir Conrad the Grim. We're going to drop that even more. And we are going to use this Zurin Orb. It's a beautiful Galaxy Foil version. All right. Zurin Orb. And this is the version of this card. Oh, it's a secret layer drop. It's worth a lot more money too. All right, the value of the deck is $910. And don't mistake it. I like the value of my deck too. It is important to me. These are collectibles. The Mimeoplasm is a great card. It is the Slimer version, so it is a collectible, but I just don't think I want to use it. It's a high casting cost. Let's get rid of it. And we are going to put, what did I say I was going to put? The Crucible of Worlds. Here we go. We are really rocking and rolling, upgrading this deck. Let's get Crucible of Worlds in here. Sucks to get rid of that Slimer card because I really, really liked it, but it is what it is. Ah, the Secret Lair card. And now we're at $935, so we've increased the value of the deck. And the total mana value is $162. We've taken 11 off already. This deck is getting faster. This deck is getting better. And I'm really, really tempted to punch this into the 250s by getting rid of this Liliana. I mean, this Liliana is a great card. This Tevish stat is a great card because it allows me to sacrifice. This is why it gets hard, right? Liliana gets me. I think for me, it's between Liliana's and Tevish stat. Which one are we going to do? If we're alive, I'm going to take a vote. You could make arguments for either ones. I think we are going to get rid of, because Tevish stat allows us to sacrifice with those trolls. I think we're going to get rid of Liliana's Death Majesty. We're going to remove that from the game, all right? And we are going to put in the Sylvan Safekeeper because we can sacrifice a lot of lands. And with that and the Zurin Orb, we can completely abuse it. So let's go Sylvan Safekeeper. There we go. Really good. People love this. All right, so we did a couple of things here. We increased the value of the deck to $950. We got the total mana value down to $158. And that's how I build decks, all right? That's one of the things I look at we are going to reduce the total casting cost of things in the deck for creatures that are more powerful or better. By the way, that Secret Lair did come in handy. So there you have it. Some live deck tech. I will not bore you with changing the lands. I will do that myself. Some of these lands are worth a lot of money, so we'll bump the value of this deck. I bet it's going to be worth $1,000 again. There is a deck list in the show notes, and you see how I change decks now. So do me a favor. I want this to be the biggest, the best Magic the Gathering channel on the internet. So go to the comments and make me suggestions. If you have suggestions, other things I could add, other things I could do. I mean, we just made some live deck tech changes right now, but any more that you have for me, I am willing to listen. It helps me a lot. It engages the channel, and it lets me interact with like-minded, amazing people like you. So thank you for coming to another episode of Muscles and Magic Gathering. Muldrotha the Gravetide. Have yourself an amazing day. And there's all kinds of videos like this all over the channel. Don't miss them.